In yesterday's class, it was something a little bit unusual happened. First, we had 5 riders. 4 of the riders had practiced prior to getting to the class and started off very well. They had a good handle on the 3 techniques. They just needed some refinement. And as you can see here, I think this is their first or second time through. They're doing excellent. Now, the 5th rider was having some serious problems. The first thing we do is we show them the slow race. That is, we get the rider going in a straight line at a walking pace. All 4 of the riders did very well with that, didn't have any problem. And one rider, well, he had no conception really of how to use the clutch and throttle. In fact, his handlebars were shaking back and forth. He was a nervous wreck. I knew that we were going to have some kind of problems, but sometimes people like that will calm down and they'll get better as we go along. And then sometimes they don't. Now, I'm going to show you his runs through this all at one time. And I had to ask the rider to leave the class. I told him, of course, he could stay and watch, but he couldn't partake in the class because he just didn't have the basic skills down. This is him trying to go through the slow cone weave, and the first time he aborts it and pulls away, and that's okay. That's happened in the past. Here's the second time he's going through, and it looks like he's doing a little bit better. I'm walking alongside him, but I could see his hands are shaking, and he's really having some serious problems. The worst thing is he keeps putting his feet down as the bike is moving, sort of duck walking the motorcycle. Now, he misses the pivot point by about 10 feet, and look at the way his feet are going. It's very dangerous when you do that because you can get your foot caught under the saddlebags or the muffler, and you could actually break an ankle. I'll watch him go through another time. I'm standing right there at the beginning showing him which way to start so that he ends up properly. He can't make it through all the cones. And again, he misses the pivot point by this time about 6 feet. His feet go down, and down goes the motorcycle. You can see his left foot is almost caught under that saddlebag. It's a problem, a serious problem waiting to happen. Fortunately, nothing happened to him here, but after watching this, I realized that there was no doubt if we continued in the class, he was going to get hurt. So on the extreme right of the screen, you could see me discussing the situation with him, and I asked him how he did in his beginner's course, and he said, well, I never took a beginner's course, so I know that years ago, you could just grandfather in a motorcycle license and you didn't need to take a test or any kind of course, and probably that was the situation he was in. Then he buys a 950-pound motorcycle with no basic skills at all, and right here you see him. It didn't happen on camera, but he actually dropped the bike just trying to take off and go straight. I had to pick the bike up for him, and I had to have him leave the class. He understood it was the best thing. I suggested he take the beginner course and then come back on a smaller bike. Of course, I hate to do that to a rider, but he understood that it was the best thing, and hopefully he'll take my advice and go back to the beginner class, and he'll come back with a small motorcycle to learn on. Now here we see the offset cone weave. This is the drone shot, of course. And these riders, we had 4 riders left, 3 of which had practiced pretty good before getting there and had excellent skills before taking the class. So, of course, they're doing very well here. One of the riders had practiced a bit, but needed a little bit more practice prior to getting to the class. But, that's what he came here for. He realized that his skills needed improvement. And in this case, we probably improved his skills by at least 300%. The other riders who were good to start with, probably by 200%. This is the rider who needed, just a little bit more training. And if he comes back within a few months, we'll get him even better. His only problem was he wasn't quite aggressive enough with the motorcycle. He was just going a bit too slow. No big deal. Very common in the class. It just happened that out of the 4 people, 3 of them were excellent, and he was just a little bit above average. But we got him way above average by the end of the class. And that's my job. If they got the will, I've got the way. Later on, I'll take him to actual motor officer exercises. In the intersection, I generally start at 27 feet, but knowing these riders' skill level by this point, I already started it down to 24 feet by 36 feet. This is the very first time these riders are going through the exercise, and they did very good. If all my classes were like this, my life would be a bowl of cherries. Unfortunately, that's usually not the case, but it was in this date, so I was able to take advantage and let the riders go through the exercises with them already narrowed down. It was great fun doing it this way. And the riders learned a lot, even though they were pretty good to start with. When you can improve good riders and make them almost to the motor officer level in just a couple of hours, it's a very good feeling for both me and for the rider. Now here in the Snowman, this is very unusual. In fact, I don't think it's ever happened. Every rider, all four riders, made it through the Snowman, what most people consider the most difficult of the exercises. They all made it through the very first time without error. That never happens. It happened this day, though. As you can see, they have excellent technique using head and eyes, using all the space available, and they make it through easily. These, by the way, the first circle is 30 feet to the left, the second one is 24 feet to the right, or 26 feet to the right, and the last is 24 feet to the left. Now, I know what you may be thinking. The drone pilot could probably use a little bit of help. Yes, he could, but he just films the stuff for me and gives it to me for free, so I'm not complaining. Amazing how on the very first time through this, what many consider the most difficult exercise, they make it through without hitting a single cone, without putting a foot down. Even this last rider on the orange bike, who was not quite aggressive enough, still makes it through the exercise without error. I was proud of all of them, and they had a great time. In fact, they did so well in this exercise, I threw in a figure 8, which I'm going to show you next. It's actual motor officer size. That's 18 by 36. 3 of the 4 riders made it through that. This is the demonstration, of course, for the exercise. Joe does a great job with that. He just got this bike, by the way, so it's brand new to him. I think this is his first time he's had it at the course. Now watch this rider. He's very aggressive. He's got no fear whatsoever. And he's going to do a great job. That center point, we call it the crossover point, is the sooner you find that point, the easier this is. You got to find it really quick. As soon as you ride over it, got to get that head back and look for it again. It's not magic, it's just technique, head and eyes, friction zone, little pressure on the rear brake. This rider almost gets it. He's probably doing 19-foot figure 8s.
Turn that head.
If he would turn his head a little bit faster, he'd have made it every time. But this is very difficult. This is 18 by 36. There's virtually no room for error in this exercise. If your head's even just a little bit late, you'll go over that line every time.
Look for that crossover. Find that crossover.
Again, this rider just a little bit late with his head turns. Had to put a foot down, but that's okay. We're just practicing here. It's rare that we ever get riders down to this level this quick. This is within about 3 hours. And don't forget, we've got coming up this Saturday, we're going to be doing a demonstration at Gator Harley-Davidson in Leesburg, Florida. We're going to be there about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They've got a ladies' ride, but it's open to everybody. And you'll get to see us in person. We'd love to meet you.